Okay, this is going to be a sort of a review on the Cub Cadet Core, our powered by Core CCT400 battery operated weed eater. It says it's 20 volt, but batteries are marked 18.5 by 6.5 amp hours. And I'm sure there's other videos. I'm not going to go over the regular stuff. You know, there's eco, there's a boost. I've been using it for, I bought this September, so I used it September, October, November. So a couple things about it. First thing is the button's a little weird to get used to if you've been using gas weed eaters. You have to push that little thing in before you pull it down, and that's a little awkward to get used to. Most of the weed eaters have the safety feature up here on the top. The batteries kind of slip in. It's even with the weight of the battery in it. If I get it from being unhooked there. Even with the weight of the battery, you know, the battery. I'll put the weight up on the screen, but it's still front heavy compared to a gas weed eater, and that's going to be noticeable. It feels a little wonky. It's dragging more towards the ground. So the first thing, it is front heavy. It's, if you're used to running gas weed eaters, string trimmers, you're going to notice it. It's not super heavy, but it feels a little wonky at first. Mainly because the motor part is here. It doesn't have the cutting length. It's a little short. I think it's 14 inches. Most string trimmers are a little bit more, or maybe it's 12 inches. I'll have to check, but it's a little shorter cut length than most gas trimmers. I've been using it. It works pretty good. They're pitching this as a replacement for your gas trimmer, and I would say this is a good backup, and it would be good for a consumer. And partly that comes down to if you're doing real heavy stuff. I live in a rural area where sometimes you run into Johnson grass and pretty thick weeds, and I've got some video up here. It doesn't do so good on it. It will cut it on the boost setting. It just takes a lot longer than a gas trimmer. It has adequate power for most weed eating applications. There's a few things I don't like about it, and most of that's going to be in this head compartment. Now, I'm used to, on a regular trimmer head, you could probably put 16 feet of string on it. On this one, you can put about half of that. It's about 8 feet. It's really annoying in some cases. I'll pull it off and show you. It comes apart easy. But there's some things I really wish they had on a lot of the Husqvarnas and Steels and stuff. You have two slots here that the string can just, when you put the thing back in, you just pull it through and then it's in it. This one, you've got to feed it through the little holes. And when you fill it, you feed the string through it, and then you wind it up, and it's got these little tracks here. You can kind of see it. And I'm sure they designed that so it would be easy to do, but if you're new to it, I'm sure it works. It's a help. If you're someone like me that's used string trimmers for a pretty long time, it's just annoying. And once you get it through there, there's no place to stick these. They need a little indent or something would be helpful, so you can clip the string in there and have it so it won't unspool while you're feeding it through these little holes. And you know, there's quite a bit of weight in this design compared to a regular weed eater head. I'm not sure if that's because it's electric and the speeds are different or what the deal is, but I think they could do pretty good improvement on that. Now, to unscrew this, Yeah, I've got a little grip area here. If I can get it to do it. There it goes. You can unscrew it. And I lost my little spacer washer. Now there's a lot of little washers in this thing, just all over it, that fall out when you take it off. But I unscrewed it one time. I had some twine stuff taken around it, and I used a little screwdriver set up here, and I cracked the edge off of it here. So that, I think that could have been thicker around that one spot, if anything. You know, we don't have to make the whole thing thick, but you know, make that little indention spot there a little thicker. Another thing, the bearings seem a little bit loose after using it. I don't know if you can hear that. It's not much. It's noticeable if your string is off. I'll show you in a second when I get it back together. It's not so hard now, little string, but when you first restring it, that string wants to pop back out. And then it's a little annoying. Still a little annoying right now. I don't know if you can see this on the video very well, but there's a little bit of wiggle in it that I didn't notice when I first got it. And that's in the motor's head side. I don't know if the bearings are going out or if that's the way it's designed. I know most gas string trimmers will have quite a bit of play in them, but you don't have the motor sitting right there on the end. Some stuff I have noticed about it, it doesn't use string up as fast as a gas trimmer. It lasts longer on it, and I think that's because the speeds are a little slower or the torque's not there. There's not any place written really that says how long the batteries last. I've been getting a typical 1.5 yards off one battery, just doing regular typical weeding. I think they'll run 45-50 minutes a piece fully charged. I didn't do the whole run it straight on eco till it goes dead, then run it straight on boost and time it. I didn't bother with that. Most of the time you're not going to be running it straight. You're going to be doing like a regular yard. So, you know, I've been getting 1.5 yards or so off each battery. The batteries don't take too terribly long to charge. If you can have one running and one charging, it could probably be pretty much continuous. I'm not sure how good that is to the batteries because it does heat them up when you're charging them and decharging them. If it's something you're not using all the time, this is great. You know, set it up. You don't have to worry about the gas going bad or the carburetor gumming up or the fuel lines going out. None of that. If you got real heavy stuff like Johnson grass or something, you're probably still going to need a gas weed eater. What I really purchased it for is that as a backup. That way I had something that would work if the gas one didn't work for some reason. I use a lot of used gas ones, and so far it works pretty good. They've got, I think, a 2-year warranty on them, and it'll be, you know, a couple years before it gets to that point. Like I said, that bearing has a little bit of play, but I've seen gas ones with a whole lot more play in it than that. Everything else seems tight. This head does not get as hot as you would expect. You know, typical motor stuff, I figure that it needed more, you know, air cooling fins on it or something, but it doesn't seem to actually get that hot. The batteries put out a lot of heat when you're using them, and this part down here on the bottom where all the electronics and stuff are, that will get put out some heat. I don't think it's enough to start a fire, but it's pretty warm. It's not any hotter than a gas one. In fact, most gas ones get pretty warm, and this isn't getting anywhere near that amount of heat. But I'm going to throw up a bunch of video I filmed. I put a GoPro on this so you can see basically what it does in different types of grass, and you can hear that when it goes in the boost phase, the sound dramatically increase. One other thing I did notice, I use a phone with their little radio app when I'm weed eating, and it does interfere with that. It makes a lot of static. Sometimes you won't hear the station at all. So I don't know if that bothers anybody, but it does put out some electrical interference. that's it for this video. I hope if you've been thinking about buying one of these and you weren't sure how well it worked, this helped out. I know I watched several review videos and they didn't quite have the information I wanted, like how many yards it typically works for and what it does on heavy stuff. So I hope that video of it tackling that stuff helped out some, and thanks for watching.